right, fam, we got the armorer out on the holo tables. Is she worth the investment? I have brought a special guest on to talk about that today. Spoiler alert, I'm not quite sold. Go ahead and punch it, Chewie. All right, guys, like I said, we're talking about the armorer today, a really exciting character, and I think a kit that is very creative, but looks like maybe not quite as good as some were hoping, maybe missing a piece. And to discuss it today, I've brought on the legendary ClashDOE. What's going on, Clash? How you doing?
Oh man, what's going on? How are you?
I'm so good. So you are I'm just gonna label you the official Cubs fam theory crafting genius. Okay, you and Zareth.
Yeah, well, Zareth covers like all of them. I just do like scoundrels, so he can have everything else.
Okay, well, Armor technically not a scoundrel, but you're gonna count her as one of your own. You're adopting her into the scoundrel family.
She had, yeah. We had the Mandalorian like kind of channel system in my Discord, and we added her, even though she's not a scoundrel, because where else are you gonna put her?
There you go. All right, so let's get into this. It looks like you got some footage here that you included from Jib Foresight, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So let me throw this up there. Oh, where is it? There we go. There's your footage. So we don't have as much footage as we might want right now. I know you were waiting on some defensive footage. So this is going to kind of serve as a little bit more B-roll than instructional. You did a lot of testing, though, and you've got the breakdown for us. So let's start by talking offense, then defense, and then I'll show them. You've got a glorious graphic here at the end of a general scorecard. So tell me about her offense formidability here, Clash. How's she looking?
Oh man, so I think you have to kind of start with her leadership. It's really interesting because she does make them very tanky. At Relic 5, I have her. She has like 260,000 protection. And 96,000 health. So what really all that does is buy her and her team that are, if they're Mandalorians, a little bit of time for her to start spreading around that Beskar armor, which when it does happen, it actually makes them pretty good. But you still need the firepower. You still need someone in there to like take things out. I've chosen Canderous to sort of be that for me on this team because he's got the Mandalorian tag and he gets called to assist. And, there's a lot of good things that happen. So on offense, when you have control over getting the Beskar, like how you get it and where you're applying it, what character you're applying it to, it does okay. It doesn't necessarily like break any teams that, you couldn't have already done something, you couldn't have already beaten with something else already. So I'm not seeing anything that is really like earth shattering in terms of what she can do on offense. But, if you're trying to get creative and swap one character out for another on one team or another, you might be able to get away with it. But like I said, it's not really adding much value yet. I can't counter new teams. I can't do more damage versus something else that I did before already.
Yeah, that seems to be a big part of it is you can do what you're doing with Beskar Mando without the armor. She's not taking him to new heights like we thought she would. And something that I also noticed when I was playing around with her is it takes a while to get the ingots of Beskar. It's not very easy to get those. It's not easy to spread that around very quickly, I noticed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, assuming you have like the perfect turn order, just pretend. Yeah. She starts with 2.
Just pretend.
So you've got to take that first turn where she calls everyone to assist and she armor shreds the target. And then you've got to wait a whole nother turn to get the third stack by attacking that armor shred again.
Right.
And then you've got to wait to the next turn to actually apply it. Right. Yeah. So it's on a 3-turn cooldown already. So, generally it's unless your team is getting crushed and they're going under 60% health or whatever it is, that gives her one passively. It's not that easy to get those ingots stacked up. And, we can talk about defense in a minute. It's not always very consistent on defense in terms of who she prioritizes to even do so.
So I'd kind of compare it in some ways. What it kind of reminded me of is how frustrating it is to charge the ultimate ability for Jedi Master Luke. It's not very easy. You kind of have to change your attack strategy to fit it just to make it work. And then the benefit of having it is maybe questionable at times. It's nice, but is it really worth sacrificing your attack strategy to get that ultimate charged or to get the ingots of Beskar or Beskar armor passed around. If it was easier, it might be a lot more automatic. So let's talk about defense. So probably the first critique I keep seeing on defense, I'm hearing it from you, I'm hearing it from others, is that she's not very consistent on how she spreads around the Beskar armor.
Yeah, well, it's two things. She's not very. She is definitely doing it randomly.
Yeah.
I've got feedback from her putting it on Queel, who's probably the least needed, and
Yeah.
like,
Yay.
you see here in this footage that we've got up, she did put it on IG-11 and Beskar Mando, which I guess cool, but.
Yeah.
Weirdly, IG-11, so I don't even know if this is the best comp. This is one I put in, and I've got a lot more test footage coming on defense for it. But, IG-11, you kind of want him to be able to be crit because then he regens his protection. So it's really counterintuitive on certain characters. Queel doesn't get crit already, so it's just kind of, not really helpful on him. Beskar may be okay, but all you're going to get is just his little, puny knife attack from a counter. Where people are really starting to use her in different places is on other ramped up teams where there's a really solid tank that has either a permanent taunt or something like that. And so I don't like that she spreads it around randomly. The other thing I don't like is on defense, she doesn't always target the enemy with armor shred. So assuming she has two ingots, she might not attack that person and get the third one. It is nice that she starts with the call to assist, which gives her the ability to, and she assists on that, right? So she calls everyone to assist and she assists herself. So she gets the third stack pretty much immediately. Yeah. But after that, she's definitely not consistent in terms of where she's attacking. So you might not even get that second thing on defense because she attacks some other character.
That's a pretty significant blemish on her AI that she doesn't target armor shred.
Right. So that's probably the most frustrating aspect of the matter on defense. But I think what we're going to find is people. I gave this. You'll see in the scorecard later. I gave the highest mark I could give this was for the theory crafting ability. Permanent buffs like this aren't. There's just not a lot of them, right? Where you can sort of pick and choose who gets a really powerful buff that stays.
Right.
But then to diminish it just a little bit, it doesn't last through phases. So if you're using it in territory battles or in something else, it won't stick on wherever you put it the wave before. So it's a nice buff. I think it does a lot, but it's kind of frustrating that it doesn't really help in territory battles.
This is something that confuses me about CG just a little bit because one of the hardest game modes in the game, I think it's probably just second place maybe to the challenge tier Rancor raid, but it's light side GOTB, and we're lacking teams that can go 4 out of 4. And so every time we get a new light side character, I think, all right, this character's got to be really good in light side GOTB, right? I felt that way with Mon Mothma, and not really. I mean, I've heard of teams that can get it done, but I think it's mostly taking from other teams that could get it done, and so she didn't quite fit the bill. Seems like Beskar Mando's not really fitting the bill as much as we would want, and you'd think that the armor... those slow build teams, especially something like this with the armor where you're slow building that Beskar armor, that's like the perfect concept for light side GOTB. So those ingots of Beskar not persisting through phases seems like a massive miss to me. I wonder if it's even a bug. I wonder if they intend for it to last through phases.
I hope not. I really hope it ends up being something they say, oh yeah, we meant for this to last, and sorry, but it says in the language it only lasts through the encounter. Normally they'll say,
oh, so it is in the kit language.
Yeah, it's in the kit language. So I doubt, but maybe if we write some angry letters, they'll change it. I'm not sure.
Why would they not give us? Why would they not give us some, more bones for that light side GOTB? I don't understand. So okay, so at the end of the video here, let's get into your graphic. I want to talk about this. Oh, before we get into that first, one more question I've got for you is, do you think something else is coming? Do you think something else is coming for this? I feel like right now she's a piece of a puzzle, and the synergy suggestions they gave just made no sense to me. There's a lot more Mandalorian characters that I think would make sense to put with her. Obviously, there's that big, I forgot his first name, Vizsla, who... say it again?
Pre-Vizsla.
It's not Pre-Vizsla. He's a descendant of Pre-Vizsla.
Oh, gotcha.
Is it Pre-Vizsla? Anyway, he's there, and there's other Mandalorians. Tar Vizsla, that's it. I'm seeing it in the chat now. Tar Vizsla, Pre-Vizsla was in Clone Wars. And then there's other Mandalorians, of course, that could come in, maybe Bo-Katan, etc. I'm thinking we could get to a very awesome team here soon.
Yeah, anytime they've had this many characters sort of nested into, things that they're rolling out, they usually lead up to something pretty cool, right? And
Yeah.
that's my hope as well. I'm not going to get too confident because I have all of the solo characters, and and we never got really our epic character out of that squad. But I really hope that they're going to be coming in either with Bo-Katan. I'm saying we won't likely see another character from the show until March or April at most.
Really?
If they stick to the sort of same schedule they had with the first season, they waited until March of this year to give us the first Mandalorian character, and I think it's probably because Disney has some anti-spoiler timeframes where they say, okay, you can't put things out until 90 days after the last episode of the season or something like that. So my expectation is we hopefully will, but I don't know that we'll see it until March or later.
So as far as farming recommendations here, guys, should you to whale or not to whale on this character? I think that the TLDR here is maybe pass on the armor right now. Here is and there's a couple exceptions here that I might give. Let me move you up here so we can see this graphic. Kit design, you're giving it a C-. We got theory crafting potential A-. Animation graphics B-. I would give the animation graphics a bit more. I really like the when she's forging the armor graphic. I think that is so dope.
That's the coolest one for sure.
Yeah, the rest of them I guess are pretty meh. The defensive AI, C+, stats, B+. And so not really a character that you really need to rush to get, I don't think, right now. The only exception I would give is maybe she's going to be used for some kind of legendary event. Maybe she's going to have other characters that come with her. But as far as like, if we're not speculating, if you are just wondering, should I whale on this character right now? I'm going to say pass.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, and it's again not because I don't think there aren't other things coming. If we just went pure speculation and say like, yeah, sure, this seems pretty straight in line with what. You
might need her later on, yeah.
But for the purpose of what she brings to your overall roster, I would say probably not something you need to get right now today. I am gonna try to start looking at how she can be used with Gar and maybe some of the Empire, because I'd love to see her with Gar and Moff Gideon.
Those characters are just not good. I mean, Gar's, well, I guess if you put it with Moff Gideon, but I can't see Gar Saxon being good without a rework. I just can't see
all I'm thinking is, think about the armor that she gives, right? If he's the one that's the tank and he's using his basic and he's putting speed down on everyone and he's reducing, he could end up becoming like a Cara Dune, just TMR, TMR, TMR. And then of course you've got what Moff Gideon brings. But you got to get real creative with the other two spots. And I don't know if we're there yet, but I feel like, I'd really love to see something cool with them come out too.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let us know what you think down in the comments below. Clash, as always, thank you very much for coming on and helping break down these characters for us. These kind of videos, I think, are some of the most helpful videos that we can put out for the Cubs fam. And so everyone here really appreciates it. Drop a like. I've got a link down to Clash's stuff down below. I need everybody to go over and sub to him, okay? Clash is a great, you don't drop content every day, but when you do drop content, it's like, get in there, watch it. It's all, everything you drop is relevant. No, you don't do a top 10 list like me.
Maybe one day.
All right, guys, thanks so much for getting in here. And as always, my brothers, don't forget.